Hello,
Oh,
hello. I
hi,
would
how
say
you
good
doing?
afternoon on your side.
Yeah, how's it going?
I'm fine, thank you.
How'd you like the meeting?
I think your meeting was quite interesting. What I do when I start talking, I start introducing people right away. And so
Huh?
it's because everything happens so naturally like this. Please, could you tell my audiences who you are? Because I would like to tell you, welcome to Free Talk with Mr. B.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rosalyn Kahn. I'm in beautiful Los Angeles, California, and I'm so excited and happy to be with you here today.
Very, very nice. And I'm so excited and happy to have you on. I just joined you in BMI, and I was like, what does BMI stand for?
Oh, it's BNI. B as in
BNI.
baby, N as in Nancy, and I as in Indiana, and it's
Okay.
Business Networking International. So if you got
Oh,
off the computer today and you went before you go to sleep and you look at BNI, there's probably a chapter there in Dubai there. I've actually been to Dubai. I'm really excited to be with you.
great. And I didn't, I keep telling everyone my head was in the oil sands for 35 years. So many things I don't know, but I get to meet interesting people and learn. So I would look that up to see if there's a chapter here. But living in Houston is such a pleasure to be connected with California again. We lived in Temecula.
Oh, I know where Temecula. I was just out in that neighborhood this
Yeah.
past weekend.
And so it's the Southern California wine country, as it were. So we lived there. We also lived in Northern California, and I worked in near the LAX. I worked in the El Segundo area. I worked in the El Segundo area in an oil refinery there.
Beautiful.
So
Oh,
I've been
that's
doing
great.
that. Yeah, I've been doing that all my life. I saw that the group is the
Wow.
San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, we're based in Burbank, California.
Okay, nice,
But
nice.
right now we're meeting virtually online. So, as she said, if you wanted to join us, she'd make an exception.
I know, and I'm very interested. So I'm going to communicate with that. I wanted to make sure I get back to you first.
Okay.
To talk to you, let my guests hear from you. And these kind of interviews become so natural. And I love the idea of how it goes. Um, what we would like you to do is, of course, it's a way of starting to give back, is telling the global community who you are, how they can reach you, what your book is about, and the excitement associated with
Oh my
you.
God. I forgot I've got the wrong screen up. I've got to put on the other screen.
I
Is
don't mind.
that okay?
I love
It's okay
naturalness, and
because
yes, I love everything we do in a podcast because my guest sees it as natural. I think if you were on Oprah or Ellen and something need to change, they would change it right there. And so
okay, here.
Free Talk with Mr. B allows all of this.
Wow, that is amazing. It's funny because I had uploaded it and when I took it off, I don't see it.
And you were
My
showing the
God.
Golden Gate Bridge in your virtual background. I used to
Well,
use it before too. And then
there's
I
another one that I had
uh-huh.
that's beautiful and oh, here we go. Um, this is fun.
I
It
didn't even tell
is
my guests I built a studio for myself so that I could always be consistent. I'm
oh my
curious of
God,
what
that
you
is well, there's an interesting a friend of mine sent me this virtual screen, and when I took it off, I don't see it. It had it was
uh-huh.
silk with my name on it and so
Nice.
on and so forth, and this is what we get.
So our guest gets a surprise and we're so interested. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. I
And
love the virtual world.
it's just amazing. So my name is
Very
Rosalyn
nice.
Kahn. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and as I said, I do many things. I coach people on the art of speaking. I've been a TED speaker on the TED stage. I give TED Talks. I've written several books. The one of them here is called A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders, and it's really about
Nice.
helping today's youth. It was written in the pandemic, and a lot of kids thought about dropping out of school or taking a break, and it was really to inspire kids to stay motivated. I asked people three questions about the race, the riots, and the pandemic, and how they reacted to that. And
Right.
so that is what that book is about 46 interviews from people from 12 to 88 years old, and their various
Nice.
opinions and things like that. So, yep.
Very, very interesting. It's such a wonderful form of giving back, because many people think about giving back, and I speak about giving back, and they don't know how. They're always thinking, I'm not rich enough. But we have to always say, what is rich? And you just demonstrated that.
Well, it's I have another book that's called Dogs and Roses, and it was written in depression. And it's something that made me happy when I got depressed is to look in the face of dogs or look at roses. And I use that book as a way to help our veterans. And they are going through so much in today's time. And as I said,
Yeah,
if you go on my Facebook or Instagram page, um, I do many things. That one day I was at the Pop and Drop and helping kids in inner city LA. I've volunteered a lot of my life, whether I have the money or I don't have the money. There's always a place that you can help other people, and I like people to know
that's
that.
correct.
And by evening, I was at another event that was Miss Filipino International. There was a young lady that I had worked with and competed in that competition, and a beautiful event, giving back to the Filipino community and trying to get people to visit that place. And then
Wow.
yesterday, I was at the Blue Sapphire event in Temecula, Riverside, that
Okay.
was out awarding people. I was nominated for an Inspire and an Influencer Award. And then we're back here today in the normal world doing what we do.
And coincidentally, just weekend I just did the UAE Miss Filipinos modeling contest, and our finals is coming up soon, and I'll be in the Philippines in November. And so there's giving back from every angle, all angles, and you don't have to be filthy rich to give back. In fact, you don't have to have any money at all sometimes to motivate someone.
Wow,
So I
that's
like.
so. You mean my Miss Filipino International is going to be at your event in the Philippines, and you're going to be there?
I'm going to be there in November. Yes,
Oh my God,
you
that's
know, and
interesting
and
how small the world is connected.
right? And we're doing women's we do some women empowerment events here in Dubai, and so we're taking those events there. So we were invited by the I think it was the vice president of the country and some other popular people there. But the whole idea is going, getting up, doing something, and not thinking you have to be a top of the line entrepreneur who will go into a spaceship and go to the Earth's stratosphere and come back, right? Not all of us can do that. And of course, we know that costs a lot of money, but the things that are priceless is what you did. And you mentioned what you did in Riverside, you mentioned what you did in the inner city of LA, and you mentioned the Filipino community and all of the different opportunities that you have to give back by what you do. And I like that.
Right.
You mentioned also where you're at. Maybe you want to tell our audiences where they can find you. And I'll also put it in writing too on
Okay.
there and popularize this video.
Certainly. My name is Rosalyn Kahn. I'm in Los Angeles. If you go to any social media, you can find me. So if you go to Rosalyn Kahn on Instagram, you can see some of those lovely photos. If you go to YouTube,
Right.
I'm proud and happy to say I just reached the magic number of 100. So I'll have my official YouTube channel with my name on it. Yay! That
Very
happened
nice.
yesterday. And
Very nice.
I have a few pages on Facebook, Rosalyn Kahn. There's my business's page. It's called Professional Coaching and Speaking. And if you go to LinkedIn, you can see me and you'll probably see this video showing up there. And it's just a big bad world.
Yes. And you're doing what I like because your heart is into it. And you didn't have to go around giving $100 bills to people or dollar bills to people. There is something that is priceless that you have and priceless that you give. Again, one-on-one, sometimes we help someone financially when it comes up, but would you say that the priceless things impact the most?
Well, I look at it like this. I had a choice of which of the three events that I was going to go ahead and post first on my page. And my heart told me, there's almost tears in my eyes. It was the people about South Central. I'm always guilty of going ahead and giving to other people and saying, well, what about me? And you look at these posts and there are other people, other people, other people. But that's what brings our world together. That's why when you and I connected today, That was the first one that went up, and we're getting little by little by little the other events that come up, and then there's some more events. So I wonder when those pictures will ever come because there's an endless amount of pictures, and they take a long time to figure out which one you're going to do and how you're going to get it up there and how you're going to share it with the world. But that was the first thing I did was get those pictures up about that event and helping other people.
And a lot of people around the world, they may not know what South Central is and what and why it's so emotional and impactful. Could you tell us a little bit about it? I think I remember.
Well, that's where the Rodney King beating actually happened, not far from that area. And what's amazing about this facility, which is called the Project 43, and there was a whole big um, lawsuit, and there were some riots that broke out, and it was really a sad point. But the amazing part is how the city has regrown, and there was a famous basketball player, and I'm really horrible at names, who put a lot of money back into the community about going ahead and rebuilding that. And this lady, whose name is Miss Annie, decided she wanted to help out the people in her neighborhood, which is at Florence. Um, one of the streets is Florence, and I forget the other name of the other street, but you'll see it if you go online. She's got a great Instagram page. And she decided that she didn't want the pimps, she didn't want the drug deals, she didn't want the prostitutes, that she really wanted people to have a place that they could call their home. And so what she did is she went out to the people in the neighborhood and said, "Would you like to join me? Would you like to help me make this happen?" And as she went and applied for this fund that she figured she'd never in the possible world get a chance of getting, she was the winner of that. One day the police came by and they asked where Miss Manny is. And she said, "Oh my God, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing?" And they asked her the question and they said, "You've done what we've been trying to do for years and years and years and years and years. How did you get the community to support you?" And, she's had offers from New York and Detroit. And as a speech communication teacher, my other occupation, it's you got to know who your audience is. And, the first thing you said when you introduced me on this platform is, "Who are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get a chance to understand what you have and what you have to offer to the world." And that's the first thing, as a speaker, that you have to do. You got to speak to the people who are there.
Yes.
And so with that, she has built this huge, I want to call it an empire, that instead of a woman coming out to the valley to cook her goods, she's making a private kitchen. There's a wonderful woman there whose name is Tiran, who's going to be offering yoga classes. They're going to have a station where they're going to be doing a radio station. They're going to have a roller skating rink. They're going to have a place in the back where they do events. There's already a person who's booked the back end for a wedding event. And the beautiful thing is when you donate to this organization, almost like the United Way, it goes to where you want the money to go to. Do you want it to go to the sports? Do you want it to go to the homeless? Do you want it to go to the kids project? So that you see a living representation of what goes on and what happens there. And look at Project 43 on Instagram and you can see what they're all about and what they're doing.
Very
So,
nice. Because around the world I've traveled, I worked in Angola, and they knew more about the movie stars than I did, even when I was living in California. And I've worked in Nigeria, and they're all familiar. So people have a concept that when you say Los Angeles and LA, they will never in their mindsets see poverty or conditions or suffering or something, but it's there, and it's why we need people like yourself to always highlight that things happen to improve the lives of people. Everything is not hunky dory. Everything is not pretty. Everything is not flowery. So we all still need help.
no, that's definitely true. I always say to everyone, I might seem bright and smiley, but you never know what was happening early this morning or yesterday or so on and so
Yes,
forth, because life is just the curveballs. It's the ups and downs that you're around that truly make life and give us the sense of meaning that we have.
very true. Very true. Um, you went to school in the Los Angeles area also, like you're.
No, my story is I grew up in San Diego and went to Patrick Henry High School, and from there I went up to UC Santa Barbara. I got
Yeah,
my degree in 3 years, whereas today it takes people many years to complete their degrees. I
especially
got
at
a degree
home.
with, yep, yep, yep. I got a degree with a emphasis in sociology with an emphasis in communication studies.
Nice.
I worked for a number of years, and then about 15 years later, I went back and I got my master's degree. And I got that degree from Cal State Northridge in speech communication. And
Well, what
it's,
motivated you to start writing?
well, um, it's interesting. When I graduated college and got my master's degree, I was involved in Toastmasters, another group that I belonged to. And one of the people, um, the dean of my college had recommended if I wanted to get into training, I couldn't be a TA, but he said, you should look up this group, American Society for Training and Development. And I met this wonderful guy by the name of Tom Lenzo, and he invited me out to a TED group. And after I put a number of hours and times in this TED talk and this organization, the curator of that event, whose name is Greg Apodeka, had said to me, you know, I'd like to return the favor for all the hours that you've put in. I'm going to offer you 6 months of a life coaching. And he said, I want you to write out your wildest dreams that you have and put them down on a piece of paper. One of those ideas that went down on that piece of paper was a book. I didn't know. I didn't know at that time that there was a book in me, and it became a random acts of kindness. Random acts of kindness are changing the world. And let me see, is it's over here? Oh no,
When we
they're
start,
behind me.
and when we start, we'll finish. And so few of us has that same problem about not wanting to start because of the reluctance. I have this thing called imposter syndrome. So I don't believe I'm worthy, but I started a book, and it's about 1 more month it'll be finished, as far as the publishing, and it's called The Art of Giving Back. And so we come
Oh
up with
wow.
these we come up with these ideas about things, and we put it in a book. And it was a way of, I wanted to find out, when did I start giving back and why. So I had to go all the way back to my grandmother and my youth to see what behaviors I was having. So I interviewed my uncle and started finding out. But it's the story is, there's a lot in us, and you do it and I do it. We try to pull out the best out of people and let them believe that they too can do anything that comes to their minds. And I appreciate that very, very much. I appreciate it. So the
Yes,
message for
there's
tomorrow's leaders is another book, right? That's what we spoke about earlier.
that's the most recent book that I came out
Okay.
with. I've got three others inside my head, but that's the one that's on the press right now. It's a message
Nice.
for tomorrow's leaders. It has a story of a 12-year-old. His name is AJ Stenson. If the kid isn't a humanitarian, I call him a humanitarian. I call him an ambassador because everything that he does um, is incredible. He recently was going and having his shot and showing people the necessary and the need to go out and get that shot. Had over 729 people who liked the post on that. When we had the riots, he was out there bringing people together. He went to a homeless shelter, and his mother took him to a homeless shelter, and I guess it was on the holidays. And he says, "Oh, they got it better than we do." And he came to realize that it's not like that every day. And so he goes to a local place almost each and every week. And during the pandemic, he was taking stuff for dogs and giving dog bag treats and people's toiletries and just going ahead and passing them out. And when the riots occurred, he'd go out and speak to people about them. When it's Cinco de Mayo, September 16th, the Women's March, whatever holiday, he's out and he's making a statement, he's making a stand. So when I was interviewed on this young kid whose name is the Tiberius Show, and I mentioned to him about AJ stunts, he says, "I know that guy. That guy's a stunt car rider." And I said, "Yes," and it's amazing how kids know who one another are in the world. And I met AJ. I met AJ because I was did something with his friend, which is Tyler Gordon, who's I interviewed him at the in Los Angeles in the Beverly Center, there was an African American exhibit for artists. And I had the opportunity to interview him. And I went on his page, and there was this kid named AJ Sense. I'm like, who's this kid, AJ? And AJ and I became friends. And he said, volunteering isn't just one day, it's absolutely every day.
And it's just so wonderful at such a young age. And it makes sense because I say that too. I like to catch them young so that their futures can be well identified early. And so they are indeed tomorrow's leaders. I love that title and I love the concept. Um, you have many thought patterns and many subjects that you can cover with us in a whole session. So I love that. So I always invite people back onto the show so that and I haven't brought anyone else yet, but I asked them when that time comes if they will come, and I've been getting a resounding yes. So will you do that too? Would you come on the show if necessary in the future for subjects that are passionate to you?
Oh, certainly. I know that there's not always enough time to say everything that I do, and you only get a small sprinkling of it. But I can
Right.
tell you that in my world, when I get on podcasts, people usually like me so much that they tend to invite me back for a second time.
I appreciate that very much. And the scenario I built before closing is this because Mr. B's Free Talk with Mr. B is a platform for giving back. And so what I built a scenario is that Santa Barbara University invited you back to be the keynote speaker for, let's say, the 2020-2021 graduating class. Let's say we can do that in this scenario. And you spoke to them at length. I was hoping that you would give us maybe what you would have considered to give to them and listeners around the world, the giving back thoughts that you want them to remember at the end of your speech. What would you give back to them, give back to our audiences now? Like,
Well, I'd say to the audience at University of California, Santa Barbara, and to the rest of the world, we go through our life and we think it's the amount of money that we have, the cars that we drive, and the clothes that we wear. But when you're on your last and your dying days, what you're going to remember is your family and the loved ones, how you truly help the other people around you. We're often come with the busyness of I got to go here and I've got to go there. And, someone recently said to me on a group on predictive social media, and I'm like, how do I do it all? And they said, you do too much. That's the story of my life. And so I ask you, as you wake up each and every day, ask yourself, what is the one most important thing that you need to do? And do that. And give gratitude. Give gratitude for what you have. Not all the things that you don't have, not all the things that you want to have, but give gratitude for what you have. So please love one another. Tell your parents, tell your loved one how valued they are and how important they are. And remember, as Grandma Sparky said to me when she gave me this blue ribbon, she said, I believe in you and I believe that you can be the best that you can be. And you're going to make it because I said so. And that's all of you as well.
and thank you so much for that, because we want to hear our grandmothers and your grandmother Sparky.
Oh yeah, she's a legend. She's got these blue ribbons. She's got these blue ribbons, and I'm supposed to share them with the world. Let me see if I have one of those blue. They're these blue ribbons. You'll see them later.
Yes.
I have it
But the
here, but
message
it's
was the message was most important, and that you are going to be okay. When you look at it, you're going to do your best, and you can do your best. And so, as my grandmother would have told me to, let your actions speak for itself. And so, the encouragement you gave to that student body and now to the world is what will carry us through, because we need that love, we need that encouragement more than ever in our generation. And we're living through a lot. We are going to continue to live through a lot, but we definitely need positive energy and positive encouragement. So we look forward to hearing from you. We thank you so much for being on Free Talk, and definitely look forward to you being on again.
well, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Richard St. Louis, you are a one of a kind gentleman, and I'm so glad that we connected and we are here today. You're a blessing to humanity and all that you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. You're way too kind. So I really, really appreciate what you say, and I look forward to talking to you and others. So you
Thank
have
you.
I think it's afternoon there. Have a good afternoon, and I will have,
Fantastic.
and I will conclude my midnight here in Dubai, and look forward to talking to you again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Good night.
Bye.